Hello there. Have you ever had a child who just irritates you? Just certain things they do, it just rubs you the wrong way. You guys are like oil and water, and you just don't mix. If you say A, they say B. If you say B, they say C. Well, I want to tell you that today, God has given you that child for a very specific purpose. And it's actually more about you than it is about them. In fact, that child is the gateway to your growth and future peace. I know you just said, what? I'm Anita Gibson, a coach, speaker, educational strategist, and the author of the book Starfinder. And today, you're going to find out something new about what irritates you. So let's get to it. So, most of us have either a child, a person in our life, someone at work, someone at home that irritates us. I definitely can relate to that. There was a season in my life when one of my children, actually all my children at one point or another, but one child in particular, I just didn't get. I couldn't figure out, how they're thinking. I just couldn't reach them in terms of being able to communicate, to understand, them. And I don't think they understood me either. And they did things sometimes that I felt was mean or angry or, good morning, MK. They did things sometimes that, it just hurt my heart. They would be unkind to their brother or sister. And I just didn't get it until I began to realize that God had given me that child very specifically because there was something that I, as the mama, needed. And what I needed was unconditional love. I thought I loved my kids, but I realized, good morning, Kimberly. I realized I loved them as long as they were doing the things that I wanted them to do. And when they weren't, I would get upset with them. And, it was their fault, their issue. They needed to get it together until God began to show me that I needed to learn how to love in a different way. And not to love people because they did what I wanted them to do, because that's called conditional love. But that I needed to learn how to love them the way He loved me. And that was no matter what I did, He still loved me. Now, did He give me consequences? Did sometimes God have to correct me? Absolutely. But He still loved me. And His word let me know that for sure. And so instead of taking this child and saying, I wish you would do better, I began to understand that God was taking me on a journey. And I had to rethink how I interfaced with them. And so I began to realize that my irritations, I stopped looking at the child and started looking at myself. So when that thing happened, when whatever they did irritated me, why was I so irritated? And I discovered an amazing thing. I was irritated because I needed control in my life to feel okay. And since I knew I couldn't control many things, I tried to control my children. I tried to get them to be, their behavior, their future, to become a safe place for me so I would be all right. And as I began to realize that, it really wasn't about them. It was really about me. I was able to reassess my irritations. And there were like two prongs to it. So sometimes my irritations were about me and the fact that I needed to be at peace within myself, that I needed to be okay with not having control over everything, that I needed to find a way to bring discipline to my children without yelling, like I talked about last week, without manipulation, without control. Asking God to help me to get to their heart, because that was the place where real change could happen. And so I learned that their irritations were actually like signals for me to close my mouth and to be still for a moment and check my heart to make sure that I wasn't irritated because they were not doing what I wanted them to do. In fact, one of my children at one point, they were being so mean. They're growing up and now they're teenagers and I'm teaching them about the love of God and being kind. And we're looking up scriptures about being kind and still just this angry streak, this mean streak in them. And finally, they get to the teenage years and I'm like, God, there's just no way. There's just no way that you're not going to deal with this child because of the way they're treating others. And God finally said to me, this child is just immature. They need to grow in the area of not being so self-focused, and they need to learn how to look at others. But I decide when that happens, not you. And so as long as you want to try to control when they learn and what they learn and how they learn, you're going to be irritated. You're going to be frustrated. You have to begin to put the things in place that you should, but understanding that I am the only one that can change a heart. And so as I learned to get my focus on not manipulating for my benefit, but being able to say, okay, God, what is really best for this child? Help me to be able to take my irritations and turn them into prayer points, to turn them into places where I look up to you and ask for your help, to turn them into places where I choose to love my child even more. Because love is an action word. That's something else I learned. When you look at, I think it's 1 Corinthians chapter 13, where it talks of, it's the love chapter, and love is patient, love is kind, does not seek its own, is not puffed up. It was like all these things, all these action things. Love is not necessarily an emotion. Sometimes the emotion is there and sometimes it's not. It doesn't mean you don't love, but love is an action word. And so as I began to realize that, I could take my irritations, use them as signs to help me to realize when I was trying to manipulate or control, ask God for how do I deal with this situation with my child, and stop blaming. Okay, God, if they hadn't done that, I wouldn't be angry. If my child hadn't done this, I wouldn't have done that. I had a child at one point. Good morning, Virginia. I had a child at one point. I was so angry with her. Maybe she was 2. And some of you have heard me tell this story. I was so angry because she wasn't doing what I told her to do, that I literally picked her up. And before I realized it, I had thrown her into this big chair, like a papasan chair. Picked her up? What? Because I was angry? I was the adult. She was irritating me. I was having a temper tantrum. And in that moment, God said to me, you don't have the right to treat her like that just because you're upset. And upset about what? She's 2. She's not going to always do what you want her to do when you want her to do it. But you have to learn that unconditional love is patient. Unconditional love is kind. Unconditional love is not about its own agenda, but is always looking out for the interest of the other person. And so I realized in that moment, I did not know how to love. And I had to go back and do a whole lot of work. Years and years and years and years. In fact, I'm still working on learning how to love unconditionally. But I did learn that the things that irritate me are always signs about me. Even when what the person did was wrong. The way that I handle it, the way that I emote, my irritation about it is always about some work that I need to do. Something that God is touching, something that He wants to bring my attention to. And so today, I just want to remind you, or tonight, or this afternoon, or whenever you're watching this, what irritates you about your child tells you something about you. And if your goal is to get to their heart, to reach their heart, then we as the moms, and as the mamas and the papas, we must do the work on us so that then we can lead them well. "9 p.m. KKK. Okay, I don't know what that means. So, if you're interested in learning more principles about how to raise up your children in ways that will make them able to become amazing adults, then, it's Korean time now. Okay. Oh, I didn't realize that. So you're actually like the opposite. Okay. I'm going to have to do some earlier times so, MK, you won't have to be up at 9 o'clock trying to watch. So if you guys are interested in learning more strategies for how to raise up your children so they can be powerful, godly adults, then check out my book, Starfinder. You can check it. You can see it on Amazon. Put my name in, Anita Gibson, and it'll pop up. Or you can actually get your own copy, and I will autograph it for you and send it to you at B as in boy, bit.ly/be a Starfinder. Oh, putting them to sleep. And they're irritating me because you're trying to watch me. Well, the great thing, MK, is you can always go back and watch the replay. That's funny. Oh. So I pray that you guys are encouraged. Yes, I got you. It is. And they're probably not cooperating with you at all because you have something that you want to do. Oh, so you guys have an amazing rest of the week. And I will see you on the next video. Love you guys. And if you have any questions or anything that pops up, feel free to inbox me. I'd love to talk with you.